Hello, friends. The Renaissance wasn't just about breathtaking paintings and grand cathedrals. It was also about ideas. Ideas that could change the way people saw themselves, their society, and even their faith. And no one embodied this intellectual revolution better than Desiderius Erasmus, the man who dared to question, to think, and to reform. Not with swords and rebellion, but with wit and wisdom. Erasmus was born in 1466 in what is now the Netherlands. Unlike the powerful kings and popes of his time, he didn't command armies or build empires. Instead, his weapon was the pen, and with it, he fought against ignorance, corruption, and blind tradition. He was a Christian humanist, part of a movement that sought to blend the ideals of classical learning with the teachings of Christianity. But unlike the dogmatic scholars of the Middle Ages, Erasmus believed that religion should not be about rigid rituals or blind obedience. It should be about inner morality, wisdom, and kindness. One of his most famous works, In Praise of Folly, was a satirical masterpiece that mocked the corruption of the church, the foolishness of scholars, and the vanity of the powerful. But here's the genius of Erasmus. He wasn't an aggressive revolutionary. He was a man of subtle rebellion. He used humor, irony, and intelligence to expose the problems in society rather than direct confrontation. He criticized the clergy but remained deeply religious. He pointed out the church's flaws but never turned against it. In short, Erasmus was a reformer before the Reformation, planting seeds of change long before Martin Luther nailed his 95 Theses to the church door. But Erasmus wasn't just a critic. He was also a scholar of extraordinary talent. He believed that if people truly wanted to understand Christianity, they needed to go back to its roots, the original texts. So he did something remarkable. He created a new Latin translation of the New Testament, correcting errors that had crept into the medieval versions. This work laid the foundation for future religious reformers, giving them the tools to challenge centuries of misinterpretation. Erasmus's dream was simple, a world where education and reason would guide faith, where leaders would rule with wisdom, and where people would think for themselves rather than blindly follow authority. But, as you might guess, not everyone appreciated his ideas. He was caught in the crossfire between the Catholic Church and the Protestant Reformation. The Catholics didn't like his criticism of their traditions, and the Protestants found him too moderate. He refused to take sides, believing that truth was more important than tribal loyalty. Despite this, Erasmus's influence spread far and wide. His writings were read by scholars, kings, and even common people who longed for change. His ideas helped shape the modern concept of Christian ethics, influencing education, politics, and philosophy for centuries. But Erasmus wasn't the only thinker of his time using his intellect to question society. Another brilliant mind, Thomas More, was about to take these ideas even further. While Erasmus critiqued religious hypocrisy, More imagined an entirely new society, one built on reason, justice, and equality. In our next episode, we'll dive into Thomas More's Utopia, a book that dared to dream of a perfect world while subtly exposing the flaws of the real one. Stay with us, friends. The Renaissance was not just about art and beauty, but also about challenging the world as it was and imagining what it could be.